In this video, I'm going to discuss transitions in OBS. I'm going to show you studio mode. I'm going to show you the multi-view panel. And I'll show you the different transitions. I'm not going to show you one that I am using. So I'm going to show you the one that's called Move, that move me from side to side, because I'm going to shoot another video. Move is a little more complicated. So without further ado, let's talk about the transitions themselves. When I have multiple scenes, as you can see on the left side here, I have multiple scenes. I have my main scene, this one. I have the one where I'm on the left, the one where I'm on the right. I have a dual one. You did see that the transition was Move here, but I'm going to show you how to transition between them. So let's go back to main. And what I will show you is where the transitions are. So first of all, you will find the transition right here under scene transition, and you can see that the active one right now is Move. So what I'm going to do is choose some of the ones that come naturally with OBS or as part of OBS when you first install it. The reason I'm not discussing Move is because Move is something that you're going to add separately. Okay, so I'm going to do the cut one, and the cut is just as it sounds. You can see that there are no parameters under cut. It just moves from one scene to the other. So if I'm moving between scenes, bam, you know, very, very abrupt transition between scenes. If I go to the fade one, and the fade one is probably going to be one that you will be using more naturally. Fade is going to fade out from one, fade into the other. So same thing here. So this is the fade. One other thing you will see is that fade does have parameters, and the specific parameter here is the amount of time for that fade. So right now it's at 750 milliseconds. Let's make it 100 milliseconds, which is faster. And you can see that while it's almost hard to see that there is a fade here. So let's give it 250. You will see it's a relatively fast fade, but it is still a fade. We're fading from one scene to the other scene. I can do something that is a lot longer. We're going to do 2000 this time, and you will see what happens. The transition, it almost allows me to talk to myself in two different scenes as I transition between them. I found, to me, 750 seemed to have been the right transition length. Again, it's up to you. I'm not going to share a Move, and instead what I'll do now is I want to show you what studio mode is. If you're using Stream Deck to transition between scenes, then you probably don't need the studio mode. The studio mode is something that's good to have if you are doing things manually, and you'll see why. If I click on studio mode here, here's what you see now. You see two screens, and this is something that happens in live video production, real live video production. The scene you see on the right, that's the program. If virtual camera was on, this is what comes out of OBS into Zoom or into Facebook Live or YouTube Live or LinkedIn Live or anything, any other source that you're streaming into. So studio mode program screen is what is currently being broadcasted, okay? The other one, this is preview. And it's preview because you can play with this screen without it being actually broadcasted at this time. So for example, if I'm going to go to the other one, you can see that the next scene that you will see is this one. And it allows you to change things in the scene while it's still, call it kind of a scratch pad. It's like your draft. And when you're ready, just hit transition. Now here, when you have the studio mode, you actually can choose a transition instead of just hitting transition. If you hit transition, it's whatever you have defined here as your default transition. But if not, you can actually use any of the others. Let's see, if I click fade, you saw that this was the 750. Fade to black, just faded it to black. Transition, turn my preview into the program. Now, here's another interesting thing. I can actually, well, first of all, I'm going to have to choose another one so that there will be a transition. I can do it manually. I don't know if you've seen, but in video studios, the producers actually have something that looks like a stick, an airplane throttle, if you will. And this allows you to do whatever transition, but at your own speed. So look at what happens as I am transitioning the view into the preview into the program. By the way, the other thing that happens is that you really swap them. What used to be the program is now the view. This helps if you have, let's say, like 2 camera scenes, and one scene is, or 2 scenes with independent cameras. One thing that happens is that one of them will have one camera, the other will have another camera, and now you can switch between angles. And really all you have to do is just do transition, and preview becomes program, program becomes preview. I want to show you just one more thing, and this one will require me to do one more thing here too, but I'm going to do the in view, under view, there is multi-view full screen. So I can do multi-view, and this is important, especially if you have more than 2 scenes. If you only have 2 scenes, then one of them is probably will be the program, the other is going to be the preview. But if you have more, then click on multi-view, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to the screen that's really right behind me. The screen that I'm sharing right now is the multi-view screen. And I know it looks a little busy, but it's not that hard to understand. What you see here is the production, the program video, just like you saw before on the right side of the studio mode. So this is the production, the program view. This is the preview. This is the next screen that we're going to have once I click on the transition, whichever transition I choose. These are up to 8 different scenes that I have programmed by number. So you can actually see the names. I have programmed 8, not on purpose, but I have 8 different scenes. So you can see scene number 1 is me in front of the blue screen, or in front of the blue background. The next one is me on the left side of the screen, where behind me is the screen that I'm sharing. Same thing on the right side. This is me in a smaller window and the screen next to me. This is just the screen. This is a second camera. I use that typically for my iPhone as a camera. And this is me inside of a cell phone, and the screen that looks inside of a computer screen. And this is me with blue background and whatever screen I'm sharing on the side. So these are my 8 screens, my 8 scenes that I have programmed. And what it allows me to do right now is to decide what is going to be the next scene. So for example, I'm choosing this one, the one that has me inside a phone. This is becoming my preview scene. And as soon as I hit the transition button, this becomes the program video or image. So I know this gets a little too much. I mean, now you have a screen where you choose what the next preview is going to be, and then you hit transition. But 2 things to keep in mind. One is you can have another person help in managing all of this while you really only share. The other thing is that you may not need the multi-view screen, and it's enough for you to know if you're using Stream Deck, you know what the next scene is going to be, and you click on that scene, and you don't have to worry about that. Another possibility, which I will cover in another video, is there is actually the ability to control OBS remotely. And when I say remotely, it can be from another device. It can be from a completely remote device over the internet. So from a producer in a completely different site. I'll get into that in a future video. For now, I just wanted to show you how transitions work. And we went over the fade, the cut transition. You saw even the fade to black transition. I will touch on the move in a future one because it requires installation of a plugin and it's a little more complicated. I showed you what studio mode looks like, that has 2 screens. And now I showed you what the multi-view screen looks like, that gives you all of your scenes, or 8 of your scenes, the previous scene or the next scene to be shown, and then the program one. These are the options that you have with OBS for transitions, studio mode, and multi-view. If this video was helpful to you, subscribe to my channel and get notified when I release more videos like this. Also, check out my resources for speakers at thediyspeaker.com.